Hey, everybody. Grant Miller here. Today is FPL time. George Bennett, how you doing?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Okay, so where do you live?
I live up in Palm Beach County.
Did you have to get a passport to come down? Do we allow, how many Palm Beach people do we allow in Miami a day?
It is like coming to a different universe, not just a different country.
I tell people, I know people don't believe me, when I cross that Dade-Broward border, I feel it. We're in Miami. It's a different feeling. What exit do you live off of?
Turnpike or
Turnpike.
I don't know. Should I say that? I don't
Turnpike. Just what exit?
86.
Oh, okay. Just wondering. It's a nice drive.
I somewhat like you. I used to be in journalism. I was a newspaper reporter for about 30 years, and most of it down here in South Florida.
Where did you go to college?
George Washington University.
Really? GW. Wait. Where's George Washington University?
In Washington, D.C., a couple blocks from the White House.
Okay, that GW. Wow.
When I went there, I don't know if I could get in now, but when I went there, it was easy to get in.
Where'd you grow up? What town?
Bethesda, Maryland.
Oh, so you're from the
D.C. area. I've been down in Florida though. I'm a Florida man. I've been down here since the early 90s.
Yeah, people get confused because Washington, D.C., Maryland is that tri-county. Is that where it's all connected, correct?
Right. Well, actually not. I mean, if you live in Maryland, Virginia on the other side of the river is
another world.
Just very different. Yeah.
All right. So you go to GW. After GW, what do you do?
I worked for a newspaper in Montgomery County, Maryland, daily paper. And was there for a few years, and then came down to Florida to the Palm Beach Post.
Wow, what a change!
Yeah.
How old were you when you moved down here?
I was in my 20s.
That's a big move.
Yeah. Well, at that time, it was my wife and I, and at that time, you figure, I'll put in a couple of years and see if I like it or not. But we ended up loving Florida and having a family here and everything.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Were they? How old are they?
They're adults now. They're
are they on payroll?
Kind of adult. They're pretty much off the payroll.
I can't wait.
Right? Yeah.
Wow. And do they still live in Florida?
Two of them in Florida. It's in South Florida, and then I have a son that lives in Wisconsin actually now.
Oh wait. Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Where in Wisconsin?
Near Madison.
That's, by the way, that is a great community. I lived in Milwaukee, 22 months, 2 days, 3 hours, and a couple seconds. Not that I was counting.
Okay.
I was with my ex-wife there.
All right.
What city does he live?
Near Madison.
And why did he go there?
For a job that he has with. He went to school in Illinois, and then when I took a job near Madison.
Wisconsin, everybody's friendly. Is that as he feels?
He likes it there. Yeah. I've only been to Wisconsin once. I haven't actually been out to where he lives yet.
Oh,
but
he moved far enough away.
I guess he wanted to get as far away from me as possible.
Okay.
I don't know. No.
All right, let's talk about FBNL.
Sure.
Hurricane season's coming up, and it drives me crazy. Certain things, not FBL, but citizens, what to do, what not to do, how to do it. I use the word customers, but let's not use customers. How do we prepare? Whether I live in a house, a condo, let's talk about the power lines. What should we do? Do you have steps people should do?
Well, sure. I mean, everybody has a different situation, but I mean, the important thing to do is, first of all, to make a plan. I mean, I don't know if you're like me, I'm kind of a procrastinator. And the first time I lived here that a hurricane was coming, I hadn't really thought much ahead of it. And then when it's coming, your hair's on fire. But so the important thing is right now we're 2 days into hurricane season. There's nothing out. I didn't look in the Atlantic, but there's no systems coming.
Excuse me a second.
Right. Knock on wood. Yeah. But, right now when things are calm is a good time to sit down and make a plan. What do you need to do as far as, securing where you live, your pets, just all that kind of stuff. Do you have flashlights and batteries? All that kind of stuff. Different for everybody, but it's important to do it now.
What's interesting, Miamians, I'm born and raised in Miami. I don't prepare because I've gone through. Now I'm older, but when 15 years ago, I didn't prepare. It's hurricane. Hurricanes come and go. I remember as a kid,
right?
We'd go out in the middle of the eye. The eye's here, and we'd go out and run. When you're a kid, you run around the streets. You'd get on people's houses. The screens were broken. You jump into their pools. You don't do that anymore. We can't do that. We're too old. So,
but I think. Well, one thing I would say is, and certainly FPL, we prepare year round for hurricane season. We are continuously making the grid stronger and smarter and more storm resilient. And then when hurricane season gets near, every year we do a very intense week-long drill. We had it last month in May, about 3,000 employees involved.
Where?
Near our headquarters in Juno Beach in West Palm Beach. And we had about 3,000 employees participate across the company. And it's a week-long drill where we simulate a hurricane making landfall in our service area, and how we'd respond in the run up to the hurricane and then the restoration. And they always throw in a lot of surprise scenarios to keep everybody on their toes. And so,
this is like a practice scrimmage.
Yeah. I mean,
for us football people.
Yeah. I mean, it takes it very seriously. So even people that have been with the company a long time and have been through many hurricanes, it keeps them fresh and on their toes and keeps them sharp. And so, we take hurricane season very seriously.
I'm changing the subject for a second. Everybody goes, we need to build our power lines underground. I go, first of all, people have no clue how much it is. It doesn't mean it's underground. Doesn't mean it's perfect, because there could be flooding in certain areas. Mm-hmm. But right now the power lines are on top and we're going to live with it. People get confused. They see all the wires. The power line is the top one. Correct?
Oh, right. Compared to the other utilities.
Yeah. Everybody goes, they see all the wires on there. The power is on the top. Next one's our cable. Tree trimming. Should I do it now? Should I wait a week before the hurricane hits? People go, I'm going to wait. This is the time to trim everything back.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
For sure. Yeah. And vegetation, trees are a major cause of outages, especially during hurricanes and severe weather. And so it's very important to property owners are responsible to maintain their trees and vegetation so they stay away from power lines. And so it's important to do that. And it's important, though, not to try to trim trees that have gotten close to power. The time to trim a tree is before it gets close to a power line, because when it gets close to a power line, you shouldn't go out in your backyard and work on a tree. You should only have a professional that's qualified to work near power lines do it.
So when you call a company to cut down those limbs, you got to ask them, do you know how to do that? Are you qualified to do it? Is there a certain license they have to have?
I'm not sure what the particular name of the license is, but I mean, they should be qualified to work around
power lines.
And
Mr. or Mrs. Jose or Joe Doe, please don't do it unless you know how to do it. Don't get near the power lines.
Right. We say, your neighborhood power line, like the one in your backyard, you should keep yourself and anything you're in contact with. If you have a pole or a ladder or scaffold, anything that you're in contact with, you should stay at least 10 feet away from that neighborhood power line. And if you happen to be near one of the bigger power lines, stay at least 30 or 35 feet away. So don't try to trim trees near a power line. Get a professional to do that. But the ideal thing is trim your trees before they get anywhere near the power line. And the most, if you have foresight, which I don't always have, but we call it the Right Tree, Right Place program. When you plant a tree, take into account how big it's going to grow and try to put it where it's not going to grow into power lines and other stuff.
There's some cities, we'll use nameless, that plant trees under power lines. And then they wonder 20 years later why they got a problem. We're not going to say what cities.
I'm not here to
right,
name,
but it's like So please, where you plant trees, ask whoever's planting the tree how big the tree is going to be. Will it hit the power lines?
Yeah, if you go to fpl.com/trees,
right,
we have all kinds of information.
Can you type that on there, Tommy? fpltrees.com.
At fpl.com/trees. And on that page, we have all kinds of information about, including information about our Right Tree, Right Place program. And Right Tree, Right Place is basically, take into account how big a tree is going to grow and don't plant it where it's going to grow into a power line or
people love putting trees right against the pole, and it causes problems.
Right. Yeah. Don't do it.
Okay. Hurricane Wilma was 2005.
Yes.
That is quite a while ago. What have FPL learned and done different?
Sure. So if anybody that was here in those, now I wasn't with FPL, but I was certainly in South Florida, and those 2004, 2005 hurricane season, those 2 years where we had, 6 or 7 storms that hit different parts of Florida. And that was really a turning point for Florida and for FPL. And Wilma was the, the capper at the end of 2005. And I think that was the strongest storm. And after Wilma, since Wilma, FPL has embarked on made major investments to make the grid, as I said before, stronger and smarter and more storm resilient. So things like hardening poles, making our poles stronger, more trimming of vegetation near power lines, putting more lines underground.
And that's not the complete answer either. Underground.
It's not underground lines are more reliable, and so we are trying to underground more power lines.
And these new these new communities you're putting underground, because if it's no houses there, it's easier to do.
Right. Most new construction now puts the utilities underground.
When I bought a long time when we bought a house, the wire from the pole to my house we put underground.
Oh, just that? Okay.
Yeah, but it was great. At least when the hurricane hit, my wire didn't get knocked down.
Right. But you were still being served by an overhead, your neighborhood. Yeah.
Right. But how many customers do we have? Everybody thinks FP&L is the whole state of Florida. It's not.
It's not. It's now with since we've added Gulf Power, it's about
is that Tampa.
That's up in the Panhandle.
Oh.
It's about 5.6 million customers, and so 10 or 11 million people
depend on you guys.
Yeah, so it's roughly half the state of Florida is served by FPL.
And you guys also give electricity to other communities, correct?
Yeah, we might have. I'm not sure what arrangements we might have with other utilities.
Okay, so what has FPL did different from Wilma to now?
Well, so as I mentioned, we made a lot of improvements to the power grid since then. So things like hardening feeder lines, making I think we're now at about 98% of our transmission structures are metal instead of wood. And putting more lines underground.
The poles are big now.
Right. Now the poles are rated, I think I should have looked this up, but I think like here I think they're rated for 145 mile an hour winds. So, and sometimes, we have different types of poles, but if you see a pole, it's rated for, the wind for that area.
That doesn't guarantee it. The poles are guaranteed, but the wind, some branch could hit the wire. So that's why it's important to trim your trees and collect everything up.
Yeah, yeah. So and right, and that's why you don't want to wait to trim your trees till when there's a hurricane watch, because a lot of times the municipal governments aren't going to pick up the trash, and then you just got a bunch of projectiles out in the street. So, it's better to trim your trees now when there's not a hurricane coming. Don't go near a power line yourself. Don't work near a power line. Hire a qualified professional to do that.
When Hurricane Andrew hit, it really wasn't supposed to hit where it hit. Mm-hmm. So when people are watching the boob tube or television, and these newscasters, think it's going to hit right here. Well, it's only an eighth of an inch off the map. People, so when a hurricane's coming, if you're in the cone, you have to plan on it hitting you. Correct? Whether it hits you or not.
Right. I mean, what we've certainly seen. I mean, just a couple of years ago, you remember Hurricane Dorian was pointed straight at South Florida, it was right near Palm Beach County, and then it kind of stalled over the Bahamas, and then went north, and unfortunately for the Bahamas, but fortunately for Florida, we didn't get a direct hit in Florida, but all the indications up until it made that turn were that it was coming straight to Florida.
Right. Okay. We're talking about underground power lines. Is that in plans for new communities? Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
And the cost factor is, if there's no community and you're building a community compared to if you go into a city now, it's going to be 5 times the amount, right? It's got to be crazy amount.
I don't know about that. It is, one of the things we're doing right now, we have something called the Storm Secure Underground Pilot Program. And that's where we go into neighborhoods. It's neighborhood power lines like the ones, typically in backyards with a lot of trees growing around them. And we prioritize the neighborhoods that have had the most issues with vegetation, either outages during Hurricane Irma or Hurricane Matthew, or tree and vegetation related outages. And we will replace those lines with underground lines. And we've done more than 250 projects so far on that. And we have, I think, about 300 in this year going on in various neighborhoods around. And it's a pilot program, so we're finding the most cost-effective ways to put power lines underground.
And some cities, you pick this street or that street, not the whole community.
Right.
And I know one community, it's a little south of us, you did like 3 blocks or 4 blocks, and it was a pilot.
Right.
And it's great.
Yeah, I mean, people.
And you picked it because of certain reasons.
Yeah, there's a whole criteria to pick it based on past outage history. So yeah, a lot of times they'll do a neighborhood, and somebody a couple blocks over will be like, "Hey, when are you going to do my neighborhood?" And they, fortunately or unfortunately, their neighborhood hasn't had the same kind of problems as this other one, so it's lower down the list. But we found that underground lines. Just in blue sky day-to-day operations, they're about 50% more reliable. And during Irma, underground lines were about 85% performed better than underground performed about 85% better than overhead.
Wow. When storm hits, you see thousands of trucks. They're not all FPL people, are they?
No.
I mean, you see.
Yeah, we couldn't possibly have that many people on the payroll, right?
Yeah, I remember looking at Metro Zoo one day, a zoo Miami, and there's thousands. I go, where are these guys from?
Right.
I think guys, could be men or women. Where do they come from?
They come from all over, and that's in the utilities industry, it's kind of it's a hallmark of the industry, the mutual aid agreements. So for a major storm, we bring in thousands of people.
From where?
From all over.
Different states.
Yeah, out of Florida. And FPL in turn, when our customers are taken care of, if there's a storm elsewhere in the country, I think last year we sent crews to 5 different storms around from, I think a couple times in Louisiana and Texas.
So they all drive up there. You house them, or they house them.
We have a logistical arrangements arranged for places for them to stay and things, but it's that's part of the planning for a hurricane, is being able to line up these agreements so that if you need people, you can bring them down. And we have relationships with other utilities where we send people if there's a storm somewhere else.
That's great. It's we're all in it together. The whole United States.
Sure.
What's the farthest they go on your FPL team? Do you know?
I think we sent some crews out to when there were those wildfire issues in California.
Wow.
And I know last year a couple of storms hit Louisiana, and I think 1 or 2 times we sent crews there. I know we sent them as far north as New Jersey. I think
when Puerto Rico got hit a couple of years ago, how do you send trucks there?
I think we put them on barges. I think I was not at FPL at the time, but we had a lot of people over there.
Yeah, the barges. Okay,
Yeah.
COVID-19, it's changed the way you guys handle stuff. What have you guys done different?
Yeah, and fortunately, I mean, it looks like we're turning the corner in a positive direction, I hope. But when COVID-19 hit last year, FPL made a lot of, as everybody did, we kind of had to rethink and re-examine everything from top to bottom and about our storm response. You mentioned those thousands of people that come in when there's a hurricane. Well, normally the normal practice for FPL and other utilities is you have these big staging sites where you have maybe thousands of people coming together. And in the old days, going through, they might serve meals there under a tent and stuff. Well, all of a sudden you've got COVID and you have to account for social distancing and things like that. So we made a lot of changes like that. We set up, instead of having a few big staging sites, we set up micro sites, smaller sites around, allowances like that. Now for the year ahead, we still have a lot of the COVID protocols in place, but we have a lot of our emergency planning folks are constantly consulting medical professionals and stuff about the latest developments and what's the wisest thing to do.
What technology has FPL used to aid in the storms? We have done a lot of different things.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we have certainly, since Wilma, we've added, we have a lot of these intelligent devices throughout the grid, and they're more intelligent than I am. I can't even exactly describe how they work, but these are devices that can sense a potential issue before it becomes a problem, or can help us speed restoration faster if an outage occurs. And then we also use drones, for example.
I saw one of those things. It's incredible.
Yeah. And so, after a storm, you've got trees down, you might have roads closed or bridges out or flooding or all kinds of things.
And they're not little drones.
Right.
You got some real drones.
But after a storm, with all, you might not be able to drive a truck somewhere to do damage assessment. There might, and with a drone, we can do damage assessment much faster, and
you can case out the street. Okay, down a half a mile, there's trees blocking the road. We're not going down there until the trees are removed, something like that.
Right, and the drone can also look at the lines themselves, from up in the air, and find where problems are, and
is that programmed, or the drone guy just knows he has to follow the lines?
No, there's a drone operator. I mean, he's a pilot. I mean, and so he, they follow the drone along, and then they get data from it. And the faster you can assess the damage, the faster you can fix
So they've
things.
been using this in other storms lately.
Yes, we've used drones for a while. I mean, and we use them, more and more each time.
It's
hopefully we won't have to use them at all this year. There won't be any, but
right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Down power lines. Some people want to move it out of the way.
No. If you see a down power line,
run.
Yeah. Assume that it's energized, and call 1-800-4-outage, or call 911 if you see a hazardous condition.
Just
but
call
get away
911.
from it.
Just call 911.
Yeah. Get away from a power line.
Even though it doesn't look like it's down power on it, it could be, and it'll kill you.
Yeah. Don't find out. Just stay away.
And if you're going to do anything, put cones or do something, make sure nobody else touches, but I would stay away.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay away.
Okay. We keep talking about the grid, how you made it stronger. Does it benefit your consumer when there are no storms by making the thing stronger?
Yes, it does. I mean, that's the thing. So since we've made, very significant investments since Hurricane Wilma to make the grid stronger, to withstand a storm better. And we saw, before I get to the everyday, so for example, from Wilma in 2005 to Irma in 2017, 12 years. And in that time, we had made a lot of these improvements. And so there was a big difference, even though Irma was a stronger hurricane than Wilma and initially had more outages. we were able to restore people much faster after Irma than we were from Wilma. And we had fewer of our poles damaged, and fewer of our substations got knocked out, all because of these improvements we'd made to make the, to fortify the system against hurricanes. But even when there isn't a hurricane, those improvements have helped just in day-to-day operations. So our reliability in 2020 was nearly 40% better than it was in 2006, just under everyday conditions.
As a consumer, I call FPNL. What's the number? 611. What is it?
Recommend you go online is probably the best way to get a hold of.
Well, let's say the hurricane hit. You call, you go, when's the power going to be hooked on? They go, I'm thinking, why would you call them? They know your power is down.
Yeah,
but we, the force of habit. My power's down. The operator going, yeah, hurricane just hit.
Right. Yeah, we our system now, we know when power's out, and you can look online at our power tracker.
Well, the power's down, it can't go on the computer.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But on the phone, maybe. But people think there's certain grids they're going to get on quicker.
Well, so the way we restore power.
I want to interrupt you.
Okay.
People tell us, you're on the hospital grid. Your power should never go down. I'm thinking, how do they know what grid you're on? And nobody really knows.
Yeah.
And our power never went on when the hospital went on, because most hospitals now have generators, so they don't worry about it.
Right.
So go ahead about the.
Well, so the way we restore power, the first priority is any damage to our generating plants and transmission lines and substations that affect being able to deliver power to the most people. And then we prioritize the lines generally along major thoroughfares, or that have
US 1.
Yeah, or that have a lot of grocery stores or before that, anything that serves like critical infrastructure. Counties identify what hospitals, 911 centers, police stations.
Who decides that? The county.
The county identifies.
Right. But now major grocery stores since Hurricane Andrew, they all got generators now. I mean, you go to the back of Publix.
Right.
You go to the back of Publix and you go, they got a generator. So since Hurricane Andrew, gas stations have generators.
Yeah.
It's changed.
Sure.
So it's the demand for gas or grocery stores have been taken care of.
It's better than it was, but it seems like you always see the big lines and stuff. But I guess that's human nature.
His last gas shortage, there was waiting lines. They said, well, people fill up their gas tanks. Why? You don't need to fill it up. But here, there. So we're going to wrap this up. So for people that lives in houses or condos, wherever you live, start clipping your trees now. Pick up and make sure that the branches are picked up, taken to the dump, correct? Or wherever.
Whatever the pickup arrangement is. Yeah, don't wait till a hurricane's coming to try to cut down trees.
In our back alley, the neighbor has trees, but they have shrubs, but the shrubs are only up the pole a little bit, and they're not touching anything else, but you still get nervous.
Yeah, don't go near poles, as I said before. I mean, near power lines. Stay 10 feet away yourself and anything you're in contact with. And then, if there's stuff growing on a pole or something, don't mess with that either. Get a professional.
All right. You got learn more at fpnl.com trees.
And certainly fpl.com/storm is the one I would recommend. That has a lot of tips on preparing for hurricane season.
We're going to put that up, FPNL.
fpl.com/storm has all kinds of resources there.
Oh, well, I appreciate you coming down, George. And you're staying down here for the day, or are you going back right up?
Got more work to do.
Got more work. Well, I appreciate that did you get your degree in journalism?
No.
Smart.
Yeah, never took a journalism class.
Did you warn your children about that when you?
Happily, none of them went into journalism. Yes.
I love these parents. They say, my kid's going to be a journalist. It says, run. Do not allow them. The market's changing very quickly.
It was a lot of fun, but I'm happy to have done it and to be where I am now.
All right. If you have any questions, go to learn more at FPNL FPNL.com. Storm or trees. Everybody, Grant Miller here with FPNL. Have a great day.
Thank you.